It was heartbreaking. The first village I came to, there's like 20 people living in one bunker. That's one room. And it's completely bombed to the ground, like completely. There's nothing left. And I went into this old school and you just see kids' drawings and there's no roof. It's completely destroyed. And that is just heartbreaking. I was just crying a lot.
So we have Alicia Agneson, Vikings, the Viking.
Ooh.
But no, you've done shitloads of movies and TV shows and a couple of really cool films. One called The Grand Duke, which was very good.
You watched Babylon.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's pretty average.
We were all in it.
We were all in it. He was in it as well.
We were all in it.
We were.
Oh my goodness.
He saw Babylon the other day and he said, mate, it's just like Grand Duke.
Oh, really?
I was like, is it?
But they're like Oscar nominated.
I know.
That's the
Babylon
difference.
was a weird one. Like, we walked out the cinema, didn't we?
Yeah.
Walked out the cinema.
Walked out?
Like, towards the end, like, I was just like, it was weird. It didn't, the storyline didn't. Anyway, so, Alicia, actress, philanthropist.
Tricky English. Yeah. I mean, that's... Yeah.
Getting there. And friend of James Mackey.
Yeah. And Matt Hookins.
And me, yeah.
And Matt, yeah. And now you're doing, I would say, what would like good deeds, basically.
Yeah.
Good deeds. You try and live like a good moral life.
Yeah. It's
Like-
not so much, I mean, it's not a choice.
And it's not a try, you're right. With you, it's not.
No.
Most people have to try to live that sort of life. So, for example, all your clothes you get from charity stores,
Yes.
right?
Secondhand.
Secondhand, yeah. You're really, So all those
When's
things.
the last time you bought something new?
3 years
3
ago.
years ago.
So normally,
Yeah, it's mad.
normally people have got to try. Like if I'm trying to do, there you go, trying. If I want to do act to change,
Yeah.
I've got to make an effort. But you live by these rules, and I was just telling Matt one
like
day.
who I am a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, Alicia had. I can't cook, and I remember cooking Alicia this chicken.
Please don't tell this story.
Can I not?
I mean, no, you can. But like,
And I cooked
I just love the kind of stories we're picking here.
Yeah, and I
Straight away.
I cooked this chicken from the thing, just put it in the oven. Obviously, that's what I can able to do. And I came back like, an hour later. She's still eating the chicken, and there was nothing left. Like she'd been like eating the bones, the small bones, all the skin, all the cartilage.
I
There
love
wasn't
chicken bones.
a single thing left.
No, but
Only
I,
other
like
person-
I don't eat the bone. I just like the edges around the bone and the crunchy bits.
Yeah.
Where's
Only
that
other
from?
person
Is
who
that,
does that,
is
my
that the
Uncle Chris
Swedish
does
in you
that.
or what?
I don't know. My mom's the same.
Really?
It's just not wasting. That's what I'm saying. It's about she's not wasting anything.
Yeah.
Is it because you like it or because you don't
No,
want to waste
love
it?
it.
Right, so
Yeah, I
it's both.
love it. That's what I
Okay.
mean. This isn't a choice. This is just I am that weird. Like
Yeah.
that's just me.
What else is like embedded into you which you would consider like a really good moral standpoint? So you got the clothes.
I think like overall with sustainability, I think coming from a country like Sweden.
Sounds very posh, my dear.
She's very posh.
Super
No.
posh.
Her accent is
This
very
isn't
posh.
even like I'm not even English. Do you
You're
know
like
what
a
I mean?
very well-spoken English, but with a twang of Swedish.
God,
It was
thank
very
you.
nice. You're like, oh, coming from
Matt.
Sweden.
Choice.
Very Audrey Hepburn.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to
No,
try
it was
another
nice.
accent.
Can you do Essex? Can you do an Essex accent?
You're all right, babe.
There you go. That's pretty good.
That was
actually.
even posh.
See, now to me. Like, see, now to me.
Posh Essex.
Posh Essex. I've never heard that before.
No, but I think coming from Sweden, I think, we are quite sustainable in our way of living, with just how we handle our garbage or how we buy food or how we just look at life overall. We are a lot more eco-conscious, I would say, than in the UK. So I think
Sweden.
that's just like overall my way of living is probably quite sustainable.
And do you think that's like embedded into...
Yeah, for sure. Like that's how I'm
child or
brought
through your
up. And
parents?
also
Yeah.
like I'm from
Yeah.
a farm. I didn't come from, a wealthy background or like I come from parents and a farm where, they built it themselves and when they got money they finished the house and like it's always been, using what you have and definitely not letting things go to spoil or like that's just how I've how I'm brought up, you know. So
I spent a bit of time in Tallinn
always
in
been that way.
Estonia, and I think that's probably
That's not Sweden. That's not Sweden, just so you know.
Yeah, it's the closest thing to Finland, Sweden in terms of their like.
Yes, it is. Good, Matt. Yes, James, behave.
And I noticed there, like everything worked really well.
Yeah.
You know, they say it's like they have one of the best internets in the world there.
Yeah.
You know, I think Bolt was created in
Oh,
Tallinn.
yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
I went on this little tour. So I went around and it was all like Viking-esque land. It was quite, it was castles and all these like, dun, 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 like all these crazy music outside restaurants and stuff. But it was really clean, fresh. Everyone seemed to have good morals.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you guys doing differently that we're not?
They didn't knock down.
I don't know.
That's what they did.
We
Well, no,
did,
this is
didn't we?
embedded. Yeah, that.
That's what they did, right?
But it's like you said, it's embedded into the culture. Is that? Do you reckon that's something to do with the landscape as well, and the fact that
maybe
the majority of it is country or mountains?
Yeah,
or
it is a
you
lot
have
of
proper
country
seasons.
and
You have
the
winter.
farmers and like for sure.
Okay,
I
interesting.
think so.
Did you read, like, I don't know if this is true, but I read like last week, I need to back it up, but apparently the ion core in the middle of the planet started spinning the other way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
so like,
mad.
yeah. So eventually, like magnets,
What does that do?
magnets that point north, eventually they'll point
I
south.
love when James is talking about things like this. You know, I just get lost in your mind sometimes. It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope that's related because I wanted to keep it all like related and all the twigs, all the twigs on the branch.
Not really, but it's interesting.
No, I just thought if you ever feel a bit like, I posted this earlier on, like, if you ever feel a bit strange, you know that we're spinning through the earth and da-da-da. But just to think there's like an inferno underneath your feet in the core of the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mad.
Moving and producing all
I
this,
love stuff like that.
energy.
You just feel so tiny.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a huge thing out there. It's like a universe.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to comprehend. When you think
is.
about it, it just shuts down. You're like, what do you mean it doesn't end?
Yeah.
It's just infinity. And you're like, oh my God, I love it.
You just got to look at the sky at night and then that'll be...
I love looking at the sky at
Not
night.
many people do it. If you just sit there and look at the sky, you think, God,
That's
it's just
like, I
infinite.
love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Do you do it often?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Out at the farm, it's lovely because you just have a clear star sky every night.
Yeah. What I like about what I see you doing is, I mean, apart from the acting and the sort of success you've had with that, you know, I see you in London, very posh, Audrey Hepburn style, walking around, you know, with all these lovely places, and then all of a sudden, the next day, you know, you're on your farm in Sweden, and you're like chopping wood and soaring through this and painting. And it's like, it's such a difference. It's such a juxtaposition between the two. Why, how can you go from that to that? And why do you do it? What's the...
I don't know. I think
Is it two levels of extremes that you like?
Yeah, but like it's just so natural to me. But I definitely need those contrasts in life. Like I am a country girl at heart, but my big passion is my job. And a big part of that is London and being out and having dinners and meeting producers and directors and actors and this.
Yeah.
So, and I love that. That's my big passion, but I need to be in the mud.
So it's rooted from that side.
I need to, like, I need to just
But I'm quite similar. I like coming into London, but I love leaving. But you go with that one step further. I don't go back to Wales and start chopping wood and everything. Where is that kind of, and it's kind of non-stereotypical because, you know, it's just, you're doing like really like, I don't know, what would be considered manly.
I'm a better builder than my brothers. Like, definitely. Like, I'm a really good builder. Yeah.
That's crazy. How did you learn to do all that?
Well, it was actually it was my first break from my first season on Vikings. And I sat down at the dining table with my family gathered. And my brothers and my father, who all have worked in construction, they were discussing this thing about a foundation on a house. And I had some questions. And my brother were like, oh, here we go again. And he was like, just stick to acting, Alicia.
Kind of prejudging you.
And I got so annoyed. So I was like, well, fuck you. I'm going to build my house this summer.
Okay.
So I just
learn how to do it.
did. Yeah.
That's good to use that energy. My friend's mum, right? She's young. I think she's just turning 60.
Yeah.
And she was watching the, these cheerleaders, right? And she went, oh, that's great. I could do what those girls are doing. And this guy said to her, aren't you a bit old for that? Like, to my friend's mum. And she took 6 months off of work. She was running like a communications company. She took 6 months off of work and became a cheerleader.
No.
And got on the team at 60 years old.
That is
Triggered the
so
right-
cool.
Yeah.
So that thing
Good
triggered
on
her.
her.
It's good to use those things to
For sure.
momentum.
But
to
most
push
people don't
on.
go that way. Most people don't go the way of, oh, you don't think I can do it? Okay, let me show
I
you.
think
It's good to remember.
I've always been that way, you know? Like
Yeah.
a lot of actors, they always talk about like, oh, you just need one person who believes in you. But I've never worked because people believe in me. It's rather the opposite. That like everyone, when I was a child growing up, you know, in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, saying I wanted to be an actress and win an Oscar and all that, who were like, well, you know, have a reality check. It's never going to happen. That's what's always
I
triggered
think it's
me.
as long as you believe in you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's always triggered me when people are like, you can't do that. I'm like, well, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And I'll go and do it.
Yeah.
How long did it take to learn that stuff, those skills? I can't wait for this point where I can just go, right, I can take a 3-month period and go and do like a project on a house. Because I relate it
Also,
to...
it's like the therapy is like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. And you feel so like when you're putting in your own windows, it's like, oh my God, it's like the best feeling in the world.
It's mine. I was reading the other day, it's slightly relatable, but in a very less way. And it was Bill Gates. Bill Gates, I think every night before he goes to bed, he says he does the washing up. Even if there's no washing up, he said, because it's really therapeutic.
Yeah, I love that.
Of being able to clean something dirty, put it away.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, God, the idea of taking 3 months off, going to a project.
Yeah.
I've said to James, because you said about cleaning some stuff up around the house, and I said, let me know and I'll come and help. Because I like the idea of cleaning, renewing things.
I think also like human beings, it's something embedded in us from way back when we were like cave people. You know, this thing, building and doing things on your own. I think we easily lose that nowadays. We have a dishwasher, we have a washing machine.
Easy, right?
It's just a little bit easy. And I think we function really well by actually doing things. I think it makes us feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
People have lost that a lot.
I agree. Yeah, I can't relate to the keeping things tidy. Like, I've tried.
know.
Really?
We know, Jay.
I try, like,
Rod's just face.
I try to, tidy up areas.
Do you?
There's probably been about 4 occasions in this place in 12 years that I've like said, right, a real tidy up, which is not obviously enough. So no, I can't relate to it, but I can relate to, what you're saying about like everything's just so easy now. And, if I look at a lot of my friends and I said it to them, CAD, they're like wrapped in cotton wool, because everything's very easy and it's about comfort and making your just like, and I'm like, hold on, but like, don't you want to sort of, when someone young would go say, what do you want to do? And you'd say, I want to change the world. Yeah. Like people are losing that a little bit because you come into these groups and and it's like, why don't we make shit or understand shit that's going to change the world and like be.
And you can. It's so easy.
100%.
You just have to get out of that spoiled comfort zone.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. And it gets really bad being in a spoiled comfort zone as well. Like, because after a while you get sort of stiff in that place and it's like that becomes normal. Yeah. And I see people in it. Like if you go to somewhere like Monaco or you see those guys that is it. And from the outside it looks all right, but it's not. It's not on the inside.
I still think those clean throughs are quite good. A lot of people do it in January, obviously, to restart the year. Yeah. I did it the other day in Wales. I went through like loads of wardrobe stuff and I threw out like 2 big bags of
lots of dresses
stuff. Yeah, loads of dresses.
Donated, I hope.
It was just, it was,
threw out. Donated, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll give clothes away. I'm in a bit of a weird stage because, I lost loads of weight, as you know, for a film.
When?
And then I put it on.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in a weird position at the moment where I've got loads of clothes that are smaller for me. Yeah. So I'm giving them away. But I'm just talking.
I'm here. You can always
just lose the weight and you can fit back into them.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Well, Matt, if you ever want to come out and like do some gritty work, you can always come to my farm.
I'll take that.
Like I'm going to put you in such hard work.
I love it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah. They're the sort of trips I really regret. Your good mate, he asked me to go on a trip in Norway with him and something came up a few days before.
Who was that?
Your really good friend, lovely guy. He organises stuff.
Oh, Johan.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I never forget, it was a few years ago and he basically lived in a cabin in the snow in Norway. Oh, yeah. It looked amazing. There's a few of those I've not been on that I look back and regret not going on.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dream. I mean, we had Olivia Jackson on that said she wishes everything went back to like no social media and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the idea of just separating yourself. There was
we can do that.
Wow.
Like you can do that. I can do it. We can all go and just live in a jungle in Colombia or whatever, or you know, Colombia's the
Colombia
first
it is
person.
now. Yep. Okay.
There's something good about Colombia because they're doing all the juvenescent stuff. It'd be good to. But there's also a point where there's a certain amount of time you spend, for me anyway, in that place, and your mind starts to become quite overactive, and it's like, okay, I want to do something now.
Yeah.
Because it can become sort of selfish. It's amazing, but you don't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's great. I think like as I'm getting older, the key is to balance it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do a month here doing nothing. Yeah, I'm going to do a month living
Yeah,
here.
but the majority of people can't do that.
No.
I guess, yeah, that's the thing.
I listened to something Jordan Peterson said the other day, and he said, look, just go in your bedroom at night, turn the lights off, turn your phone off, and just sit there.
Yeah,
for
I do that.
For 20 minutes and just
Yeah.
have a think.
Yeah.
Don't try and fall asleep. Don't
I
try
do
and stay
that too.
awake.
Yeah.
And most people don't do that.
I think it's really important to spend that time with
Yeah,
yourself.
it is,
Like
yeah.
that's what I tell all my friends or like
Yeah.
whatever people are going through or
Yeah.
you know, just questions about work or whatever. I'm like, just sit with yourself. Like take a day.
But most people
and
don't do
just
that. That's the
be
thing.
with you. Yeah.
That's-
I crave that.
You've got to be
need
conscious to do that, and then you've got
alone.
to action it as well.
But you
Yeah.
know, I think, was it Reid Hoffman, the CEO of LinkedIn, someone Hoffman, he basically used to blank out his calendar every day. And every day he'd put 2 hours grayed out of just thinking
I
time.
read about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool because
Lovely.
set it in your thing.
Love
Right, I'm not, because the amount of work, if I'm doing my physics stuff, the amount, when I'm revising, the amount I can do with the phone off
Yeah.
and just sitting here alone
Yeah.
compared to, you know, the odd WhatsApp, just the odd thing, it just throws you off
I
completely.
think the thought process is really interesting as well. The one place that I get this really clear thought process, and it's not. It can be quite sort of manic and intense. I can think about a lot of things, or I can think about nothing. It's the sauna, weirdly enough,
Oh yeah.
because it's very
Sauna
hot.
is good.
It's very hot, so it raises your temperature and probably I imagine your blood pressure as well,
Yeah.
your heart rate. You can't obviously take your phone in there,
No.
so you either have to be on your own and think about things, or you have to engage with people, which is usually
Yeah.
it's usually away from what you're
Yeah.
doing normally.
Yeah.
You're not going to go in a sauna and speak to someone about something you do on your phone. You're going to speak about
Yeah,
something
exactly.
else. So I find that place quite.
Yeah. And I love that. I miss that when you just connect with people without phones because you just end up talking about things that, you know, there's no distractions.
Yeah.
You just get to know people in.
the
it's
conversation
amazing.
so much. But actually, we were in Malta a while ago, and there was a sauna in there that we'd go swim and we'd sit in the sauna.
Yeah.
And no one's got phones.
Yeah.
So it'd be like an old conversation
Yeah.
20 years ago. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing here, mate? You know, it's like
Yeah,
real.
it's lovely.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Full circle back to Tallinn. That's what I loved about Estonia, because I rented this apartment in Estonia,
Yeah.
and they had a sauna in the bathroom,
But
and apparently that's normal.
But that's standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like-
Even in Sweden, like sauna is.
I was like recording, doing a video, like, oh my god, look, there's a sauna here, and
like
then
cold,
everyone's like, yeah, that's
like cold baths, like
Yeah.
ice baths.
it was
Yeah.
kind of the norm.
I do
Cold
that a
baths,
lot.
really. I think cold
Winter
baths.
time, I do that.
Yeah,
like,
anything that connects you with
much
nature.
more.
I
Yeah.
think like barefoot. I was obviously everyone loves walking barefoot, but I actually read the science behind it. If you earth anything in a house,
Yeah.
you know that. Do you know what the earth cable is in the house?
Yeah.
It's just it's stuck in the earth.
yeah.
So it grounds you from getting electrocuted when you touch a metal object.
Yeah.
So anything here, right, that's plugged in the UK,
Mm.
it will basically go to earth. So when you're
Yeah.
standing on the floor with the leaves or the mud, you're earthing your body naturally.
Mm.
So it's like there's real reasons behind doing it. Do you know? And then the cold, I'm actually surprised why sensory deprivation tanks haven't got more and more popular. Remember when I first heard about them from Joe Rogan? I took CAD actually about 10 years ago. They opened one up in the UK, and I went on to sit in one. And they turn 5 minutes. There's light. They shut you in. They lock you in. It's salt water.
The oxygen.
No, it's salt water, but they heat the salt. They take your body temperature and they heat the salt to the same as your body. So you float in the salt water, and then it's pitch black, and then it's soundproof.
Should we go?
We should all go.
That's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah. You just sit in, and it's basically 45 minutes. It's actually a bit freaky because
Because it's pitch
It's your
black.
body pitch black, no sound. There's these eggs everyone goes
I'm
in.
afraid of the dark.
Pitch black, and you can't actually. It's like your mind is just floating in space. So you've got to just sit there and do nothing, which kind of
Yeah.
freaks you out for the first minute.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to
That's
be
so interesting though.
Do you think there's going to be a swing back with like people in society where now it's like phone, you know, swipe, video, content, seeing all this stuff? Do you think the pendulum is going to swing in the way it has done in certain other areas where loads of people are just going to come off social media or actually go back to the nature? Do you think that's actually going to happen?
I don't. Sorry, Alicia, what do you think?
No, same. I don't think so either.
Why
I
not?
think it's
too far gone.
Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good for most people now.
And people are addicted.
They are.
Like we have that by nature.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those things that just gonna be too hard.
I agree. It's getting so good now with all the AI, open AI stuff we discussed today, ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion, and watching a movie and just creating it through thought as it goes on and changing the thing just by speaking to it. And then like, if you think about, if you just take the Neuralink stuff, they're making this to be mass produced, right? It's going to be bulk available for everybody. And if you didn't have your phone now, you'd sort of be a bit of a loss in terms of running a business. Soon, if you don't have this and you can't just get information, and say I've got an idea and I just want to share it with you. I'm like, Matt, can you take this tequila idea off me there? And it's in your brain, all the concepts, all the ideas connected to it.
Mad.
Yeah, but you there's an infinite discussion you can have, right, about what you could do. If you didn't have that, you're going to sort of be left behind, which is a shame. Yeah. So you either completely go off grid, which, there's times for, but it also, I just think, unfortunately, in a way, is going to be so good that it's going to be harder and harder to stay away from. Because you could now, right, Matt, you've spoken about it a lot, you could literally go and sit in a field for a month if you wanted to, but you're not. Do you know what I mean? So there's a reason for that, because you're hungry, you want stuff. And whether it's, spiritually, materialistically, whatever, most people do. That's why I think people are gonna. I don't think it will go back, unfortunately.
No.
Cut to Matt sitting in a field for a month. Can't do any podcasts because Matt is.
Unless we have some massive disaster.
Yeah.
Unless we have a meteor strike. Yeah. Unless we have like solar winds hit the planet.
Yeah.
Unless something like it, if we have a cyber attack on like the national grid or something
crazy.
Yeah, and all the. I think what they say, 2 days of no electricity, because of no electricity, no water. Everyone's basically.
That's how I live when I'm in Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, so I'd be good. I'm used to it.
What's going on with? So what's the truth behind all the Ukraine stuff? Because there's so many different stories. Is Putin like a megalomaniac psycho or not?
Well, let's just, if you don't mind, one thing to mention is it's crazy. I mean, I can't even explain how you've done it, but you've been to Ukraine twice, is it? Or 3 times?
Came back 2 days ago, last.
Like recently, and you've gone there to I'll let you describe it. You've gone there to help people and, support people and go through all the towns and different stuff during, obviously, this crazy war that's going on there. Don't know where to begin. What's going on? Why did you want to do that? Explain your journey with that and what's...
I mean, I think it's, once again, it wasn't a choice. It just came really natural to me that if someone needs help, you help them, and that's my instinct. And so when the war broke out, I wanted to do things. And Johan, actually, he was one of the founders for this charity organization, Operation Aid. And I was working, and so I could only help by donating, which obviously makes a huge difference, so there's lots of things you can do without going down to Ukraine. But then I was off up until Christmas, and I just, and they needed a driver. And I was like, well, that's me. And so and it wasn't a choice. It was just supernatural that I was going to do that and help them if I could.
When was this?
This was before Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
So you drove there?
So I've driven twice now from Stockholm all the way down to Ukraine.
I love the way you say it's not a choice, because for most people,
exactly.
it is. And most people would just donate. They wouldn't go to it. And it's kind of rooted into what you said earlier.
Yeah, and I think it's also super important. I think it's kind of tied in with this whole thing with, social media, being an actress and all of that. I think nowadays, you have a responsibility. Like, you get all of these followers all of a sudden, and it's so easy to just show the stuff, the good stuff, the red carpets and the premieres. But that's not me. That's not what I stand for. That's not what me as a person. And I just felt like it's really important for people to see this. And if I can raise awareness about this and show people and maybe get more people, involved, then that's my responsibility to do that. So, it was just, with that said, I think it's hard to imagine what it's like. I mean, when I came down, it was just mind blowing. I was really scared. The first day I was there, I was just really scared. But
because you don't know where things are gonna come from.
I mean, no, you have no idea.
And wait, where did you drive there from? You drove there
Sweden.
From Stockholm.
From Sweden.
Yeah, so it took about 2 days down, and then.
And where did you stop off on the way?
Well, I stopped a bit everywhere. My dad actually, they needed another driver to pick up a truck, so I actually met my dad in Warsaw, in Poland.
Wow.
He was on his way from there to drive this truck up to Sweden, and I was driving down to Ukraine.
Okay.
So once again, my family's always been the same, helping each other and, So stopped in Warsaw, stopped at a few places in Poland, stopped at several places in Stockholm to pick up all the donations. So that was also my job. So picked up lots and lots of things, had a huge truck, and then started in Lviv in Ukraine to just organize everything for different missions, and then drove down. And it's like, Ukraine is huge. So, it's like from Lviv down to Mykolaiv, which is by the front, it's like 12 hours drive.
Right.
So it's quite mad. So, and it started, and Lviv is kind of, you don't really feel the war when you're there, but there's no electricity and no heating and no water. So, that was a bit weird,
And what was it like driving through? What did you see when you drove through?
I mean, Lviv is just like any town, really. But then driving down to Mykolaiv, just stopping and filling up the car, you just start hearing this huge, like a thunder, which is missiles hitting, and you can hear them. And that's when I kind of started realizing that this is,
it's real.
You're heading to a war zone.
Yeah.
So you driving in a van with a couple of other people.
Yeah.
With a van full of stuff and supplies and materials and clothes and whatnot.
Food, clothes.
Yeah, I love the fact you were taking like food for animals as well. That was really nice.
Oh my God, oh my God, the dogs. Yeah, I stopped everywhere,
And it's like you're driving, okay, that's one aspect. And then you're driving through Ukraine, which is, at war at the moment, and the things that you're seeing.
Yeah.
What did you see?
It's I mean, you see a lot of, it's hard to explain really. You're heading to these villages. When I headed out on my first mission, you're just like a sitting duck, basically. You're driving this van, and the roads, there is not one single road that has a meter that's not bombed or destroyed by missiles. So it's really bumpy roads. And, and my volunteer friend who's from there, he said, you can't wear seatbelts because as soon as a missile goes over, you have to get out of the car really fast and go on the ground. And at no point are you allowed to step out of the road because there's landmines everywhere. And a lot of the landmines are hidden under children's toys.
Shit.
So, and it really is everywhere. And you can just see missiles. You just see missiles in the road and everywhere.
I remember reaching out to you on Instagram. I was kind of like, it's amazing what you're doing.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, it's like really weird. But it's also really interesting, human beings, because I freaked out for a couple of seconds. But then there's something that there's this thing, you just accept it. It's like a survival mode where human beings, we're just capable of so many things.
Yeah.
And you just go, right, stay on the mission, get to do this.
I'm going to help people.
Hope for justice. Our vision has always been to live in a world free from slavery, free from oppression and persecution. And across the world, we are part of a movement that sees the end of human trafficking. Our team's impact is growing larger and larger each year. Together, we are rescuing more victims, bringing children home to their families, and restoring hope to survivors. We are opening new locations globally, implementing a thought-through, professional response in the fight against modern slavery, changing more lives in our towns, cities, and communities for the better. We see a world where every human is free and valued equally. Every person can be a force for good. And together, we can change the world. We are Hope for Justice. And this is who we are.
It was heartbreaking. The first village I came to, there's like 20 people living in one bunker, that's one room, and it's completely bombed to the ground, like completely. There's nothing left. And I went into this old school, and you just see kids' drawings, and there's no roof. There's no, it's completely destroyed. And that is just heartbreaking. I was just crying a lot. And women and children that's been struck by missiles that's hit nearby, and they've lost a leg. And I think, and when you get to these villages, they're so happy that you're there. Right. They smile and they hug you and they cry and they call you hope. And they say you bring hope to whole Ukraine that you're there. And it's such a huge thing to take in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there was one man in one village he was this really sweet old gentleman, and he set up a little kitchen in the corner of a street where he was just cooking food over a fire. And he would just not let go of me. He would just kiss me and hug me and cry and call me a ray of sunshine. And he was so grateful I was there. And one day later, I got a phone call from my voluntary friend who had driven past, and a missile had hit and he died. And he was just with his face down in the mud. And that was a day after. So, yeah, it's big.
Yeah.
It's a very different experience. It's very hard,
Any of those places occupied, or do they bomb it remotely and then leave?
So all of those places that they are the old front line.
Yeah.
They were occupied for a very long time.
Right.
Some of them have been freed really recently. And the front line is still just like 20 kilometers away from where we were. So you're hearing constantly.
Right.
You can see missiles go over.
Right.
Like
because in my mind, as far away from it as I am, there's two things that horrific things that happen, right? One is obviously the bombs and the mortars and all that going off, right? The second thing is if that place is occupied, then those people are being harassed constantly, right? So that was the thing that we were hearing stories about.
Yeah.
Do you think that happened or no, nothing happened?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things like that going on.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
That's horrible to hear.
Yeah, it's just it's just so inhumane that it's even hard to, and also I think the thing you realize when you're down there is that, Ukraine wasn't really a rich country before the war, and they just have nothing. And, I can understand if it's a war strategy. I understand war. I understand that they want to take out the power sources and the water resources. I get that. But these villages are bombed every day.
Yeah.
And they're already gone.
Yeah.
The people are just dying. There's nothing left.
Right.
And that's that is inhumane. That is not war strategy.
It's like sinister.
How many people have died then in Ukraine? Do you know?
I don't know the
because it's hard to obviously.
It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff that's happened in the last few years has opened my eyes to we're obviously being told the truth on mainstream things, right? So it's really hard to know because one time you hear Putin is leading this, then you hear there's someone below him because he might be sick or whatever that's leading it. Then you hear these guys are going into the village, these Russians, and all these Russians are not full on prepared for war.
Yeah.
They're just being drafted at the last minute. So you hear all these, and then you're like, okay, well, that's not going to end up very well if they're not trained, you know. So it's really hard to read between the lines to know actually what's going on. Yeah.
It's really weird. It's like, it's they also have war law where they have to give back the dead bodies to the country that they're coming from.
Right.
So, you're in this van and you're driving around on these missile landmine full roads, and then you just see a big truck with guys walking around the fields loading up dead bodies in front of you. And it's just heavily armed military everywhere. There's no people out. We were the only people. And that's when you realize you're like, oh, wow.
And in Dnipro and Kiev, is it like that, or are they half normal, or not half normal?
No, Dnipro is really bad.
Is it?
Yeah. It's been really heavily bombed.
Shit.
Yeah. And my volunteer team that I was down with are there now. So
And they're not under what's it called? It's not being occupied.
No.
Dnipro. Okay.
no.
Normally they well, I think sometimes they've painted war on the news as being worse than it actually is. And in this circumstance, it seems like it's the other way around.
Yeah.
It seems like that a little bit of, there's not,
I mean,
it seems like it's worse. Listening to your stories, and
It's
I saw some of it on Instagram. That's why I reached out to you, just to say what the hell are you doing, but well done at the same time. It seems like this is kind of worse, and it's almost as if like no one wants to blow it up to be that bad because they're scared of like what Russia could potentially do.
And I understand that,
and that's understandable.
You know? Like for sure. I mean, if the Ukrainians that I've got to know now down in Mykolaiv, they don't think this is going to end for like 3-5 years.
Yeah, I've heard like 10 years.
Yeah, and
because they've got
it's mad.
Biden's given them like 100 billion now.
Yeah.
Which is more than which like that annual spending on war on arms. I think it's double what Russia normally spend on their military. It's some figure like that. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's going to go on for a long time.
I just think it's mental. Like, I just think it's
completely pointless.
Mad.
Yeah.
Like in this day and age. And it was so hard being down there.
You're very brave to go there.
It was really hard. And when I came home, there was just no happiness left in the world. Yeah. And I would just get annoyed at everyone. I would yell at my sister because she complained that the water was warm. And I was like, I can't walk around being angry at what's good.
Yeah.
That's not how it's supposed to be.
Were you constantly scared, or were you scared for that first moment and then you kind of got used to it?
I had 2 panic attacks when I was there, and I've never had that. So it was really weird. But going to bed the first night in Mykolaiv and your bed starts shaking because a missile has hit 2 roads down.
Yeah,
makes you very
it's crazy.
Fragile, and you just go, whoa, that's how close you are. But then, as I said, there's something in your body that just goes, no, you need your sleep, so you're good tomorrow. And then and at another point when I was down in this bunker, it was so overwhelming, and the woman, she was so happy we got there. And a few weeks before, they had delivered potatoes to her, and she had cooked over the fire a meal on potatoes that we'd given her for us. And, that is like, they have nothing and they're sharing it. And it just, I'm so grateful for having done that trip and seeing that, because we are so rubbish at that. We're living such privileged lives, and we are so rubbish at sharing things, taking care of each other, working together, asking questions.
Yeah.
And she was and she'd lost her leg when a missile hit, and she was just happy and smiling. And at one point when I sat down, it was just so overwhelming, and I just started having these cold sweats. And then I snapped out of it, and I didn't remember anyone's name. Like my close friends, I was just completely my brain just shut down because it was just so overwhelming, everything I'd seen. That
really shows the spirit of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah.
In that sense, to think
I'm so happy to have seen them and met them, and it's just so admirable.
Because they could have been completely the opposite. You could have turned up and they could have been like, look.
No, I mean, they're badass.
The fact that
there's 98% of the time the railway, the trains are still running, because they are dragging, they have horse and carriage pulling them.
Wow.
But the fact that they're so happy to see you.
A farmer with a tractor coming to pull the train, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is just so amazing.
What I love as well, when I phoned any of my mates who are Ukrainian, all of the brothers are staying there because they're like, I'm not letting my mum's house get bombed or whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the guys are like, fuck, I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really.
Did it make you appreciate life a lot? Obviously, it's a silly question, but has it stuck with you?
I still start crying when I pour water out of the tap. I'm so happy and over everything, so grateful and appreciative, and I think I'm telling people off a bit more now. When people complain over things in a nice way.
Yeah,
guys, we have it so we have a warm house. You know,
Yeah.
we have a warm house. We can turn the heating on and off.
Have a house.
We have a light. Yeah, we have a house. You know, I visited so many a mother who couldn't get away from there. They have no money, and she had, I think she had 4 kids on her own, and she had just taken in a lot of children in the village because their parents are dead. She had 7 kids under one roof, and there was no wall to her house. It's raining straight in. They're living on mattresses that's just moldy and wet, and you know, it's mad.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine now that you've seen it. It's such a good exercise for your mind because it's hard, imagine that for our parents or whatever, your mum or my mum. It's actually hard to imagine it.
And then I have friends in London who's, you know, complaining over the tiniest things, and I'm like, guys,
what's the one thing that you saw which like really just kind of made you open your eyes? I mean, the story about the old man is really touching and moving.
That was.
But you know, when I reached out to you on Instagram and you were driving past missiles and you were doing these very open, honest videos in the way that you, I think it was natural with your personality. It was very raw. You just sat there in the mud.
Yeah.
And you're like, guys, we've got to help because this is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, look at where I am.
Yeah.
And I think that was quite,
thank you.
It's quite raw for you to do that.
Yeah.
In a very honest way.
I mean, it was a very raw trip.
Yeah.
So.
But was there one thing that really stuck with you that you kind of went, like, that's going to stick with me forever? Or was there one thing? All of it. It was
all
that
of
bad.
it. But I think also this, just meeting these people, you know, when you give them warm clothes and they cry for happiness and they hug you and they look at you like you are a hero. And in some ways, you know, you might have saved their life.
Yeah.
And they know it. And it's a very overwhelming feeling when someone looks at you that way. It's just...
And from your side, you're feeling like you're doing quite, I don't want to say a basic thing, but you're delivering clothes and food that should be the norm of what people should get.
Exactly.
So what do you suggest for people to do, like us, you know, normal people like that want to help?
Well, I think...
What can James do?
I think
you need to go there.
So James, go out there.
I think it's like, and I think, you know, that's why also I cared about this war and like overall, I obviously hate war everywhere in the world. It's not just Ukraine. There's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm trying to work with like sustainability and saving the world. And then we create war. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God.
These people aren't caring right now about CO2 emissions.
This is the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think when people, it's an amazing feeling when you just think to yourself and you accept one world, one people. Super easy. One world, one people.
I heard that Billy Carson say that the other day.
It's and it's so simple. And when you've accepted that, it just makes it really easy. You know, there's so many people who can donate. It's not about a lot of money. It's about helping each other. It's about doing, if everyone does one little thing for the environment, for the world, we would be living in a completely different world. So it's actually such a tiny thing. And I think just like having that knowledge, maybe just taste that feeling of we can help each other. It does make a difference. It's actually really empowering for people. You know, it's an amazing thing if you can help. That's the most rewarding feeling. So I think just trying to get that out there and, not be afraid. I think a lot of people always think it needs to be such a big thing. You don't have to go to Ukraine like I did. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. You don't have to stop buying newly produced clothes like I did. It's about just doing a tiny little change. And that's going to just be a massive impact. And it's so, so cool when people are coming together and seeing these changes, like just donating all of these clothes.
So donating clothes, and where would you donate money to? Is there a specific?
I mean, I would say do your research. Like there are a lot of different organizations. Obviously, I was down with Operation Aid. They're amazing and they're very unafraid.
Are they specifically set up to help Ukraine as well? Or were they previous?
Met. It was my friend Johan. It was Ludwig and Ellie. They all met in the beginning of the war because they were all just down there and wanting to do different.
Where are they all from?
They're all from Sweden.
Right, okay.
And so they created this, and they're hand
Swedish
delivering
people,
these
they're
things
good at everything.
all the time. Yeah.
Good at doing stuff and
Do you know
getting.
what I mean? Yeah.
If you're Swedish, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, you're saying people don't have to go down there or shouldn't have to go down there. But can you imagine now if, like, you know, thousands of people from UK or from Paris or from, you know, all these different countries just went to Ukraine?
Yeah.
It may stop the war.
Yeah.
Because
That's what I mean.
Russia's not going to just carry on bombing Ukraine.
No.
If they go, well, wait, there's 1,000 French civilians here. There's 1,000 people from the UK. There's 1,000 people from Germany.
I mean, yeah. Can you imagine?
If everyone just went down there,
I know.
it would, like, not just help people.
I know.
But it might just stop the war.
But that's the thing. Like, in reality, it's like what we were talking about before. It's easy for you to go and sit in a field. You can do it, but will you?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It is, people can do
You can
these
literally
things.
get in a car. We could literally get in a car now and drive to Ukraine.
You know,
like there's nothing stopping us.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely
So-
nothing. That's the thing when people say they want to do it. It's like there's nothing stopping us right now from
No,
getting in a
no.
car and driving to Ukraine.
no. I'm happy. I'm more than happy to drive. I know the roads.
I think I'd only have you drive because you.
Yeah.
You know, avoid that.
I know. Yeah.
What's that? A bomb? Oh yeah, great.
Yeah. You get
Yes,
very cold and like focused
Focused and
when
direct.
you're down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be all right. I'll be swerving all over. the
I'm
place.
very like this. Yeah.
That's. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I really wanted you to come on just to hear that because I saw it on Instagram and
Yeah.
it blew me away. It brought tears to my eyes when I saw it because you were just there and
Yeah.
it was just so, incredible what you were doing. The fact that the fact that, you know, most people know who you are and you've got, like you said, you've got this
It was
other
also
side.
mad because like Vikings is so big in Ukraine.
This is what I'm saying. You've got
so
this.
like, and I played the princess in Kiev, didn't I?
Yeah.
So when I went down there and I met the volunteers, it was just like there was just so many people who were like,
took a moment to
and they were
realize.
like, Your Majesty, and I was like, guys, no, and they were just like, and there was a Ukrainian news channel who was there because they just thought it was so weird that I was there.
Yeah.
So they were just filming me while I went around in these villages, and I mean the feedback were just like people, they just thought it was mad.
That's the thing that people should know is like, you know, you've got one side of your life and it's similar to how you live your life. You've got one side of your life where you're drinking nice coffee in London and you're invited to all these premieres.
Love
and
coffee.
you know, you've been in a massive TV show that was super successful. And you could easily just be the, you know, Alicia the actress, but then you've got this other side.
You know what I mean?
It's not, but it's not, I mean, you've not, you know, you would say as well, you've not done something that's fun. You've done something that's like really important.
No, but you're very outgoing. You know what I mean? You've always been like that. I remember we would go, if it was in Malta or whatever, and you're going in the sea, you'd always go furthest out on the supboard and
I love myself.
doing handstands on the supboard and stuff. So I think that's always been part of your personality, isn't
I
it?
think that's what I mean. I think
Adventurous,
that's just who I am. And I really hate injustice in all its shapes and forms.
But how do you deal with that? Because obviously we've got Hope for Justice, right? You know, we had Tim on, okay? So he messaged me the other day saying they've got this huge wage bill they've got to get paid this week, like 120,000 or something, for the salaries for all the half volunteers. Yeah. It's like, how do you help with all these, how do you prioritise all these different things? Because there is a lot of shit going on in the world. And it's like, you can see why people zone it out. Like the reality is a lot of people zone it out because they don't want to have to, they've got their own stuff.
People are doing it the wrong way because if you it's just, I guess it's like a defense mechanism that it's like seeing things on the news, people just turn it off because they don't want to but getting involved makes you happier.
True.
Makes you feel better.
Yeah.
It's very empowering. So you're just ruining it a little bit for yourself, you know? And
so
I think
pick the battles, basically.
Pick your battles. And also like, you know, I'm not saying get all in that and give up on things, you know, prioritize yourself. If you're not happy, you can't make other people happy. And that needs to be I always think that should be the main focus. But no, I think it's just, I mean, when I'm not filming, it's like, then I have time and then I like doing good stuff.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we need to, we need to, are you still talking to Tim, Hope for Justice? Yeah. He messaged me the other day. I've really, I'm spending time by speaking and making contacts and stuff, but definitely can do more there. We had him on the podcast.
Well, I think just chatting, like
Yeah.
chatting to people as well. Like we were talking about conversations.
Yeah, conversations are
Conversations are so valuable, like
Yeah.
picking people's minds, challenging each other, not being afraid to say, oh, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Please, can you tell me?
Yeah.
Like me 90% of the time with you, James, when I'm like, wow, why is that? Or when you teach me English words, shouldn't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
There should be, and I feel like a lot of people are, they're like, oh, I don't really know that. I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Have a discussion about things, have people over for wine one night and just talk about how you're going to save the world.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
That is a cool conversation.
That's a
to
better
have.
dinner than sitting around and just drinking red wine because you're pairing it with some cheese or something.
Rubbish. Do you know what I mean? How's that cheese? Rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually bringing people around and having a conversation saying, how are we going to fix this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say what are your thoughts and challenge each other. That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's a really
I love that.
sounds basic but powerful tool in terms of just saying to people, come around and let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's really nice and powerful in that sense.
I know.
And let's discuss something.
I know.
Really interesting.
I almost get goosebumps because I love it so much.
Yeah. We always do it. We have a coffee and just start chatting away about lots of different things and different ideas. What's next for you then? Are you going to go back? You've got to act as well because you don't want to lose that side. But obviously, what's next for you? Are you going to be in London for a while, or are you going to go back to Sweden or
I'm going to be in London.
Okay.
Yes, and it is lovely being back as well. It's really lovely, and obviously it's going to be really nice now to get back into castings and focusing on that. 100% want to go back to Ukraine. I think. It very much depends on what my schedule looks like. And, the acting industry, you just never know what the schedule looks like or
Very
when.
fickle, isn't it?
It is. And now, obviously, pilot season is coming up. So it's probably going to be very busy in London ahead. And we're going to have to see how the war is going as well. But 100% I want to go back. I love those guys. Some of the volunteers I met down in Mykolaiv, they are such good lads. And I can't wait to go down and hug them again and just be like, I'm back, bitches. You know, because they're just so lovely.
I like that. I like the fact that you're, it's quite a tough experience what you're doing and going down there. But actually, if you just went down there and you just, if you just went down there and you didn't say anything, you were silent and you were just like, look, we're here to do this. The fact that you've made friends and put a spin on it and you're all in a van and it's quite ruggedy and you like you said.
I was in the van after every mission, after I had a proper breakdown and cry, I would just put the speaker on and play Here Comes the Sun and sing along and make all the other volunteers sing along. I think they liked it, but they didn't say anything. And, we would just go on these missile hit bumpy roads and sing Here Comes the Sun. And, you got to do that. Otherwise.
How does that go, that song?
Here comes the sun, little baby. It's all right. Do, 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 do.
Now your turn, James.
James, go on.
I can't sing, unfortunately.
Doesn't know the words.
I was trying to get a little line.
Will you do anything different if you go back? Or will you kind of just...
No, I'm just going to try to do as much as I can again.
I like that. We're back, bitches. That's good.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
But yes, we'll see. And that we're just going to have to see, I guess, when that would be. But I hope I can go soon again.
And do you think the posting on social media and all that kind of stuff, that's how I knew about it, obviously, but that's something everyone can do, just find something.
For sure. And social media is wild that way. You can say whatever you want about it. I definitely hate it sometimes. But the power of reaching out to people is incredible. I think just that video I posted about that was a huge bump in donations.
Yeah.
And that does go to an amazing cause.
Yeah. I'm terrible with social media, but I remember reaching out to you.
Yeah,
as soon as
you
I saw
did.
it.
Terrible. You post every day. Another picture of yourself.
This was 6 months ago. This is a couple of months ago.
Be
when I
nice.
was back. But I think everyone on social media, everyone's liking or watching, and I'm sort of I'm victim to this, like watching or liking like an animal.
You were so
video.
good. You were sharing and like, you were so lovely.
Yeah, no, at the time, yeah. But I'm just saying everyone like watches and likes like a funny animal video or something.
Yeah.
How quickly would it be for someone just to go, okay, well, let's share this.
Yeah.
Well, let's share that.
Yeah.
Well, let's share,
Exactly.
Alicia's story or something.
Yeah.
There's a powerful aspect to it that
It is.
if everyone started seeing it, they'd realize, okay, maybe I should do something.
Yeah. It's a lot about that. And
Yeah.
and I think, especially with social media, like one of the first things I said when I started getting a lot of followers were like, I do not want to be an influencer. I do not want to go down that route. I do not want to do that kind of stuff. I want to use it to do good. I want to inspire. I want to, have fun, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, but also like not do all these, like discount codes and paid partnerships and all that shit.
Better stop that then.
That's not,
Right?
You
Just
know?
signed up to loads. No, I think...
but I was like, I want to do, something different. So,
But I said this before about money. I think, there's a quote that money shouldn't make you different. It should just make a difference. And you just touched on something. You don't need to be an influencer, but you can influence.
Yeah.
And if you
I'd
influence
like
people,
to see it that way.
that's a nicer ring to it than
Yeah.
actually.
And it is amazing, like all of the messages that I'm getting about like the secondhand stuff, people who have followed my steps and stopped buying newly produced and going down that route, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is just brilliant.
Okay.
And I've started having so many fans on Instagram now who's like clearing out their grandma's closets or attics or whatever, and then they just send me all this stuff because they just like think of me and they're like, you'd like this, because obviously I love dressing in really old clothes.
Yeah.
So they like, my publicist in Stockholm is just getting like all of these clothes sent from
Random stuff.
random people. And the other day I got like a wedding gown. It was stunning though. I'm definitely going to keep it for when that day comes. Yeah, but like, so it's really random. Like people are just loving it and sending, and yeah.
Yeah. You want to get married one day?
Yeah.
Okay.
One day.
Children?
Yeah, one day.
Why was that? What was the second question? Kind of a little bit.
No, I was like, oh, little
of a-
nightmares. Maybe if they're my genes.
Did you think about it first and went,
My dad actually said some genes you shouldn't spread out into the world. So I think he meant me.
right?
Like, I should just not.
I think you'd be a good mother, no?
Keep that going. Yeah, one day, I have a lot of things I want to do before
Okay.
that. But yeah,
How many children do you want?
7, like Sound of Music,
You want 7?
No, not really.
Okay. Just a couple, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 maybe.
4's a lot.
Yeah.
That's still a lot.
But it's also like once you start, like, you might
Might as well just keep going. Just every 9 months.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, just do
Yeah.
one big change and then
Yeah.
and then sort yourself out afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I come from a farm. I grew up in a big family. I think that's lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe.
And are you going to keep separating your time from Sweden to London, or eventually you're going to go, right, actually, I'm going to stay on my farm in Sweden. I'll come in for work.
I think I need the contrast, but London is my home.
Okay.
London is my home,
Yeah.
and
People always
it's-
think the extremes are bad, but I work to extremes as well. I
Yeah.
think it's either
and you
loads
know
of
as
people,
well, yeah.
city,
And
lots
like
of
there's
different
a lot
things.
of traveling, and
or
like
nothing.
I wouldn't change that. People
Yeah.
always used to go, but where's your home going to be? And I think I've just kind of come to the realization that I'll probably always have a lot of homes.
Yeah.
It's
Home.
never going to be one.
Yeah. Home can be
Home is
planet
where
Earth.
I hang my hat.
Planet Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And that's just it, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy in that, very comfortable in that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's so lovely having you in.
Yeah, it's so
Good to
lovely
see you
being
again.
here.
So what would you say? What would you say is like the best way people to help? Have you got like a link in your bio where people can specifically, donate?
Yeah, I mean, I have on my highlights lots. The whole Ukraine trip actually is still
Okay.
up, so people can watch. And
And Operation
Operation Aid.
Operation
Yeah.
Aid.
But I
is
think
the-
just overall, like doing research,
Yeah,
inform yourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with so
and
much
that's
stuff,
like with
isn't it?
anything.
Yeah,
Situation on the sea and like whatever it is, just
yeah.
we have Google. I mean,
I
We've
think
got
if anyone,
ChatGPT now.
we got a lot. What is that?
It's like Google 2.0.
Really?
You can search anything on there, and it's
Oh,
like
you can do that on Google.
it's better.
Really?
Yeah,
yeah, it's more advanced.
yeah.
Wow.
It's
I think, if anyone hasn't seen Alicia's stories, they should go and see, because like I said, I watched it and made me sort of
Yeah.
shape up straight away. And
Yeah.
give a little donation and stuff, and just check out what you're doing. It's really moving and powerful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Really well done. Like, so brave.
Thank you.
Amazing act of kindness. So good work.
You guys. Okay, amazing. Thank you for coming.
No, thank you guys.